The phone felt like ice against Victoria's ear. Thunder rolled outside the master bedroom windows, matching the storm building in her chest. "And you're certain it's mine?" The question sliced through her like broken glass. 6 weeks of loneliness, of wandering marble halls that echoed with emptiness, of morning sickness that bent her over cold bathroom floors. 6 weeks of waiting for a husband who treated her like expensive furniture he'd rather keep in storage. And this was what he asked. What kind of question is that? Her voice trembled, anger rising through the hurt. A practical one. Damien's tone remained surgical, detached. "We spent one night together. You're a stranger who was forced into my life because your father gambled away your future. Now suddenly you're pregnant. You'll forgive me for questioning the timing." Victoria's hand instinctively moved to her stomach, protective. The city lights blurred through her tears. "You think I planned this? That I wanted to trap myself further in a marriage where my husband can't stand to look at me? I think gold diggers come in many forms. Some use poison, others use pregnancy." The words hung between them like smoke from a gun. "Mrs. Patterson told me about Cassandra," Victoria said quietly. "About what she did to you. But I'm not her, Damien." His laugh was bitter, hollow. "That's exactly what she said. Right before she tried to kill me for my inheritance. I never wanted your money. I never wanted any of this." "Then why are you really calling, Victoria? What do you want from me?" The question broke something inside her. She'd spent 6 weeks in a gilded prison. 6 weeks learning she was carrying the child of a man who saw her as either a transaction or a threat. She'd imagined telling him about the baby, had rehearsed 1,000 different versions of this conversation. None of them had included him questioning if the child was even his. "I wanted to tell you that you're going to be a father," she said, her voice raw. "I thought you deserved to know. Clearly, I was wrong about what you deserve." "Victoria, wait. Don't hang up." But she'd already lowered the phone. Through the window, lightning split the sky like a broken promise. Her hand shook as she placed the phone on the nightstand. Damien's voice still calling her name from the speaker, tinny and distant. Mrs. Patterson appeared in the doorway, her weathered face creased with concern. "Mrs. Cross?" I heard raised voices. "He thinks I'm lying." Victoria's voice cracked. "He thinks I'm trying to trap him like she did." The housekeeper crossed the room, her embrace smelling of lavender and old kindness. "The boy's been hurt so badly he can't see straight anymore. 5 years of building walls will do that to a soul." "I can't stay here, Mrs. Patterson. Not in a house where my own husband thinks I'm a liar. Not raising a child who'll grow up knowing their father suspects they're not even his." "Where would you go, dear?" Victoria pulled back, wiping her eyes. "My father's farm. It's small, but it's honest. More honest than this mansion full of expensive things and empty hearts." "Mr. Cross won't let you leave. The marriage contract." "The marriage contract says I'm his wife. It doesn't say I'm his prisoner." The phone rang again. Damien's name flashed on the screen like an accusation. Victoria stared at it, her jaw set. "Let it ring," she said. But Mrs. Patterson picked it up, her voice gentle but firm. "Mr. Cross?" "Yes, she's here." "No, sir, she's quite upset. You accused her of icy." "Well, perhaps you should have thought about that before questioning the paternity of your own child." Victoria's eyes widened. She'd never heard anyone speak to Damien Cross like that. "Yes, sir. I'll tell her. But Mr. Cross? That girl's been nothing but honest since she arrived. If you can't see that, you're blinder than your grandfather ever was." Mrs. Patterson ended the call and turned to Victoria. "He's coming home. Tomorrow morning. First flight from Tokyo. I don't want to see him." "I know, dear. But running won't solve this. You've got to face him. Tell him the truth about everything. Make him look you in the eyes and call you a liar." "What truth?" Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. "The truth you've been hiding since your wedding night. The real reason you flinched when he touched you." Victoria's breath caught. "How did you know?" "I've been keeping this house for 30 years, child. I know the sound of secrets, and yours has been echoing in these halls since you arrived." The storm outside intensified, rain lashing against the windows. Victoria sank onto the edge of the bed, the same bed where everything had changed 6 weeks ago. "If I tell him," she said slowly, "he'll never believe me. He already thinks I'm manipulating him. Then make him believe, because tomorrow when he walks through that door, everything changes. For both of you." Victoria looked down at her hands, at the platinum ring that felt heavier with each passing hour. What if I can't? Then you leave and you raise that baby alone. But you'll always wonder if things could have been different. If he could have been different. The phone buzzed with a text message. Victoria picked it up with trembling fingers. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. We need to talk. Face to face. Please don't leave. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. 3 dots appeared on the screen, then disappeared, then appeared again. I know I don't deserve your trust, but give me one chance to explain, to listen. Please, Victoria. She typed back slowly. Why should I believe anything you say? His response came immediately, because I'm terrified. Because I've been poisoned by the last woman I trusted. And I'm drowning in fear that history is repeating. Because I don't know how to be anything but suspicious anymore. And because despite everything, I can't stop thinking about you. Victoria's heart hammered against her ribs. She typed, 1 conversation. Tomorrow. Then I decide if I stay or go. Thank you. She set the phone down and looked at Mrs. Patterson. He's coming home. I know, dear. I'm not ready for this. No one ever is. But ready or not, tomorrow you'll have to face the man you married, and the secret that could either save this marriage or destroy it completely. Victoria stood and walked to the window. Somewhere across the ocean, Damien Cross was boarding a plane, flying toward a confrontation neither of them wanted, but both desperately needed. And in the morning, when he arrived, she would have to tell him the truth. The whole truth. About the baby, about her past, about the real reason she'd agreed to marry a stranger, about the man who'd hurt her long before Damien ever touched her, and the scars that still bled in the dark. Damien Cross arrived at dawn, his suit wrinkled from 17 hours of travel, his steel gray eyes shadowed with exhaustion and something that might have been fear. Victoria met him in the library. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating dust motes that danced like tiny witnesses to their confrontation. She'd chosen this room deliberately. Books lined every wall, silent guardians of 1,000 stories. Perhaps they'd bear witness to hers. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough to see the pallor of her skin, the dark circles under her eyes, the way her hand rested protectively on her stomach. Far enough that touching would require intention. You came, she said. Did you think I wouldn't? His voice was rough, scraped raw by sleeplessness and regret. I didn't know what to think. You accused me of being a liar and a gold digger on the same phone call where I told you I'm carrying your child. He flinched. I know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. But you thought it. You still think it. I don't know what I think anymore, Victoria. I just know that I can't breathe properly until we talk. Until I understand. She moved to the window, her silhouette outlined in morning light. What do you want to understand? That I didn't plan this pregnancy? That I'm not Cassandra reincarnated, trying to trap you or kill you or steal your fortune? I want to understand why you agreed to marry me. He stepped closer. Your father's debts were substantial but not insurmountable. There were other options. Bankruptcy, negotiations with the loan sharks. Why did you choose this? Choose me? Victoria's laugh was hollow. You think I had a choice? Everyone has a choice. Not when they're running from something worse than debt. The words hung between them like smoke. Damien's brow furrowed. What were you running from? She turned to face him, and he saw something in her eyes he'd never noticed before. Not just sadness or anger, terror, buried deep beneath layers of carefully constructed composure. My father didn't just gamble away our farm, she said quietly. He gambled away me. 3 months before our wedding, he sold me to Marcus Vaughn to clear his debts. Damien's blood turned to ice. Marcus Vaughn. Loan shark, human trafficker, monster dressed in expensive suits. Sold you? Marcus gave him 6 months to pay back everything, or I'd become his property, to do with as he pleased. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. When your grandfather's lawyer approached my father about an arranged marriage to secure your inheritance, my father saw a way out. Your money would clear his debts. I'd be safely married to a billionaire instead of enslaved to a criminal. Everyone wins. Except you. Except me, she agreed. I traded one prison for another, but at least this one had marble floors and a housekeeper who's kind. Damien felt something crack inside his chest. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because you didn't ask. Because our wedding night, you made it very clear this was a transaction. not a marriage. You took what you needed and left. Why would I share my trauma with a man who could barely look at me? The accusation hit its mark. He remembered that night, how he'd approached it like a business obligation, how he'd seen her fear and mistaken it for inexperience rather than something deeper, darker. You flinched when I touched you, he said slowly, pieces falling into place. Not because you were nervous, because someone had hurt you before. Victoria's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. Marcus liked to remind me what I'd become if my father didn't pay. He'd corner me at the market, at church. He'd touch my hair, my face. Tell me all the things he'd do to me when I belonged to him. The week before our wedding, he caught me alone in the barn. Damien's hands clenched into fists. Did he? No. My father's farmhand heard me scream and came running, but Marcus made it clear it was only a preview. That I was his, just temporarily on loan to my father. And then you married me, a stranger who treated you like property he'd purchased. At least you purchased me legally. At least I'd have rights as your wife, even if you'd never exercise them. It was the best bad option I had. Damien crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. She flinched, old instincts rising, but he stopped just short of touching her. I'm so sorry, Victoria, for what Marcus did, for what I did, for not seeing you as a person instead of a problem to solve. Sorry doesn't change anything. No, but maybe understanding can. He took a careful breath. I need to tell you about Cassandra. Not the headlines version Mrs. Patterson gave you, the whole truth. Victoria studied his face, seeing vulnerability she hadn't known he was capable of. Okay, I met her at a charity gala. She was beautiful, charming, said all the right things. We married 6 months later. I thought I'd finally found someone who loved me for who I was, not what I had. His voice hardened. I was wrong. She loved my money. When she realized a divorce wouldn't give her enough, she decided widowhood was more profitable. The arsenic. Small doses in my coffee every morning for 3 months. I thought I was having health problems. Exhaustion, nausea, confusion. By the time the doctors figured it out, I was weeks from organ failure. He met Victoria's eyes. She looked me in the face every day and told me she loved me, while she slowly killed me. That's why you can't trust anyone. That's why I can't trust beautiful women who suddenly enter my life and need something from me. It's irrational, I know. You're nothing like her. But fear doesn't respond to logic. I understand fear, Victoria said softly. I live with it every day. Fear that Marcus will find a loophole in our marriage contract. Fear that you'll decide I'm not worth the trouble and send me back to my father. Fear that I'll raise this baby alone because its father thinks I'm a liar. Damien's jaw tightened. I don't think you're a liar. You said the timing was convenient. I was scared. I said things I didn't mean, because admitting I might actually care what happens to you terrified me more than suspecting you were manipulating me. The confession hung between them like morning mist. Fragile and honest. You care what happens to me. Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. I've thought about you every day for 6 weeks. Wondered if you were okay. If Mrs. Patterson was making sure you ate properly. If you were lonely in that massive house. I told myself I was just checking on my asset, but that's not what it felt like. What did it feel like? Like drowning. Like coming up for air. Like being terrified I'd already ruined the one genuine thing that's happened to me in 5 years. Victoria's breath caught. Damien. The library door burst open. Mrs. Patterson stood there, her face pale, phone clutched in her weathered hand. Mr. Cross, Mrs. Cross, we have a problem. Damien's entire body tensed. What kind of problem? Marcus Vaughn is at the front gate. He's demanding to see Victoria. Says the marriage is invalid because Mr. Sterling signed over his daughter's future before the wedding took place. He's claiming ownership, Victoria swayed. Damien caught her elbow, steadying her. That's impossible. We have a legal marriage certificate. He has a contract signed by Victoria's father 3 days before your wedding. Dated and notarized. His lawyers say it supersedes the marriage agreement. That can't be legal, Victoria whispered, but her voice held no conviction. Damien's mind raced through legal precedents, contract law, loopholes. Tell him to leave or I'll call the police. He says if you do, he'll sue for damages. Loss of property, breach of contract. He'll drag Victoria's name through every courthouse in the country. Make her life hell. Let him try. No. Victoria pulled away from Damien's grip. He'll destroy you too. Use this to damage your reputation. your business, everything you've built. I don't care about my reputation. You should, because I won't let you sacrifice everything for a wife you didn't even want. Victoria. He wins, Damien. He always wins. Men like Marcus don't stop until they get what they want. And what he wants is to punish me for escaping him. Then we fight him together. She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something she'd never expected to see. Determination, protection, something that looked dangerously close to love. Why? She asked. Why would you fight for me? Because you're my wife. Because you're carrying my child. Because for the first time in 5 years, I want to protect something instead of just guarding myself. And if I'm not worth protecting? He cupped her face gently, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. You are worth protecting, Victoria Sterling Cross. You always have been. I was just too broken to see it. Mrs. Patterson cleared her throat. Mr. Cross? He's waiting for an answer. Damien's steel gray eyes hardened into something dangerous. Tell Mr. Vaughn that my wife isn't available. Tell him if he sets foot on this property again, I'll have him arrested for harassment and trespassing. And tell him that if he wants a legal battle, I have more lawyers and deeper pockets than he can possibly imagine. Sir, the contract is worthless. Victoria's father had no legal right to sell his adult daughter. The contract is void. We'll prove it in court if necessary. Victoria grabbed his arm. Damien, he'll retaliate. He'll hurt people I love. He'll hurt my father. Your father sold you, Victoria. Twice. Damien's voice was ice. He doesn't deserve your protection. He's still my father, and you're still my wife. Which means his debts are now my problem, and I'm very good at solving problems. Mrs. Patterson nodded and left. Through the window, they could see Marcus Vaughn's black Mercedes idling at the gate, a sleek predator waiting for weakness. Damien pulled out his phone and dialed. James, I need you at the mansion. Now, bring the legal team. We have a situation. Victoria watched him work, this cold billionaire transforming into something else entirely. A protector, a warrior, someone fighting not for assets but for people, for her. Why are you doing this? She asked again. He ended the call and looked at her. Because 6 weeks ago, I married a stranger to secure an inheritance. But somewhere in the last 17 hours, I realized that stranger might be the most honest person I've ever met. And I'm done letting fear make my decisions. What if this is all for nothing? What if the contract is valid? Then we'll find another way. But I'm not giving you up to him, Victoria. Not today. Not ever, she believed him. Against all logic, despite everything, she believed him. The baby, she said quietly. Do you believe it's yours? His hand covered hers on her stomach. I believe you. That's enough. Outside, Marcus Vaughn's car finally pulled away, defeated for now but not gone forever. And inside, 2 broken people stood in a library full of stories, writing the first page of their own. But neither of them knew that Marcus Vaughn's contract wasn't the only secret waiting to destroy them, or that the biggest betrayal was already inside the house. 3 weeks passed like a fever dream. Damien's legal team tore Marcus Vaughn's contract apart, finding loophole after loophole, invalidating clauses, building a fortress of law around Victoria that no loan shark could penetrate. But something else was happening too, something neither of them had expected. They were learning each other. Damien started coming home for dinner. Not every night, but enough that Victoria stopped setting a single place at the massive dining table. They'd eat in the smaller breakfast room instead, talking about books and cities and nothing important. 2 strangers slowly becoming something less strange. He'd ask about her day. She'd ask about his work. Small questions that built bridges across the distance between them. One night, she found him in the nursery. He'd hired decorators without telling her, and they'd painted the walls a soft sage green. A crib stood in the corner, white and pristine and waiting. I should have asked what you wanted, he said, not turning around. I'm not good at this, at considering someone else. It's perfect. She moved beside him, more than I expected. I've been thinking. He finally looked at her. About after the baby comes. About what kind of father I want to be. And nothing like mine was. Nothing like yours either. Present. Involved. Maybe even loving if I can remember how. Her hand found his in the twilight of the unfinished nursery. We'll figure it out together. Together, he repeated, like testing the weight of a foreign word. That night, for the first time since their wedding, he kissed her, gentle, tentative, asking permission with every breath. She kissed him back, tasting coffee and vulnerability, and the terrifying possibility of hope. "I'm falling for you," he whispered against her lips. "I don't know how to stop." "Don't stop," she breathed. "Please don't stop." But happiness in stories like theirs is always borrowed time. The morning Mrs. Patterson collapsed in the kitchen, Victoria was 12 weeks pregnant. The housekeeper had been making tea when her legs simply gave out, her weathered body crumpling against the marble floor like paper. "Mrs. Patterson," Victoria dropped beside her, feeling for a pulse. Steady but weak. "Damien, call an ambulance!" He appeared in seconds, phone already at his ear, his face pale. "She's breathing. Stay with her. Help is coming." At the hospital, doctors spoke in hushed tones about heart conditions and stress and age finally demanding its due. Mrs. Patterson lay in a sterile bed, tubes and wires connecting her to machines that beeped her continued existence. "I'm sorry, dear," she whispered when Victoria sat beside her. "Terrible timing. Don't apologize for being human." Victoria held her hand. "You've taken care of everyone else for 30 years. Let us take care of you." Mrs. Patterson's eyes filled with tears. "There's something I need to tell you, before it's too late. About your father." Victoria's blood chilled. "What about him?" "The debt. The gambling. It wasn't what you think." "I don't understand." "Your father didn't gamble the money away, Victoria. He never gambled at all." The machines beeped steadily in the silence. "Then where did the debt come from?" Victoria asked slowly. Mrs. Patterson's grip tightened. "From me." "What?" "I needed money. For my daughter's cancer treatment. Your father, bless him, he's known our family for decades. He co-signed loans for me, took on debt he couldn't afford because I begged him to. The gambling story was a cover to protect me." Victoria's world tilted sideways. "You're lying. My father told me himself he'd gambled it away. To protect my reputation. To give you a reason to marry Damien without guilt. He knew you'd never agree if you thought you were sacrificing yourself for his mistakes. But if you thought he'd destroyed your future through his own weakness, you'd do it to save him." "No." Victoria pulled her hand away. "No, that doesn't make sense. He let me believe he was a failure. Let me hate him. He loved you enough to be hated. That's what parents do, dear. They take the blame so their children can be free. And Marcus Vaughn? The contract?" Mrs. Patterson's face crumpled. "Marcus knew about the loans. About my situation. He offered to clear everything if your father signed that paper. Your father refused at first, but Marcus threatened my daughter. Said he'd make sure she never got treatment. Your father signed to save a dying girl he'd never met. That's the kind of man he is." Victoria stood, her legs shaking. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I might not get another chance. Because you deserve to know the truth. Because your father's been calling the house every day for 12 weeks, asking if you're okay, and I've been telling him you don't want to speak to him. But that's a lie, isn't it? You do want to speak to him. You just don't know how. He should have told me the truth. And you should tell Damien yours." Victoria froze. "What truth?" "The real reason you were in that barn when Marcus found you. The real reason your father's farmhand was there so quickly." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do, dear. And so does Damien's lawyer, James. He found something while investigating Marcus. Something about a life insurance policy in your name, dated a week before your wedding. A policy that pays out double if you die before the baby is born." The room spun. "I don't have a life insurance policy." "Someone took one out on you. Someone with access to your personal information. Someone who'd benefit from your death and the baby's death. Who would do that?" "Marcus?" "The policy was purchased by Sterling Agricultural Holdings. Your father's farm, signed by him." Victoria felt the world drop away beneath her feet. "You're lying." "My father wouldn't. I don't think he did. I think someone forged his signature, used his company, made it look like he was planning to collect on your death." "Who?" Mrs. Patterson's eyes closed, exhaustion pulling her under. "Ask James, he knows. He's known for 3 days. But he won't tell you unless Damien approves. And Damien won't approve because he's trying to protect you from the truth." A nurse entered, checking monitors, adjusting IVs. "She needs rest now. You should go home." Victoria stumbled into the hallway where Damien waited, his face drawn with worry. How is she? She'll survive. Unlike my entire understanding of reality. What does that mean? It means your lawyer found a life insurance policy on me. It means someone wants me dead. It means you've known for 3 days and didn't tell me. His face confirmed everything. Victoria, don't. Don't you dare try to protect me from this. Her voice broke. Who forged my father's signature? Who took out that policy? We don't know yet. James is investigating. Liar. The word cut between them like a knife. You know, I can see it in your eyes. Tell me right now, or I walk out that door and you never see me again. Damien's jaw clenched. It wasn't your father. Then who? Marcus Vaughn didn't work alone. He had a partner, someone inside our circle, someone who had access to both your father's business and my security systems, someone who's been feeding information to Marcus all along. Who, Damien? My assistant, Sarah Chen. She's been working with Marcus for 6 months. The goal was to create chaos, make it look like your father was trying to kill you for insurance money, then have Marcus swoop in as the legitimate contract holder when I divorced you for bringing danger into my life. Victoria's knees buckled. Damien caught her, but she pushed him away. Your assistant. Someone you trust. Someone who has access to everything. Had it past tense. I fired her this morning. Handed everything over to the police. This morning, after knowing for 3 days, I was trying to build a case to make sure she couldn't hurt you. By lying to me. By keeping secrets. Just like my father did. Just like everyone does. Victoria, please, I need to go. She backed away from him. I need to think. I need to breathe. I need to be somewhere where people tell me the truth. Don't leave. It's not safe. Not safe. I'm not safe anywhere. Not with Marcus hunting me. Not with your assistant plotting my death. Not in a marriage built on secrets and lies, and people thinking they know what's best for me without asking what I want. What do you want? I want to matter. I want to be part of the decisions about my own life. I want a husband who trusts me enough to tell me when someone's trying to kill me. I was protecting you. You were controlling me. There's a difference. She turned and walked toward the exit, her hand on her stomach, feeling the tiny life growing inside her. A life that was wanted by some and hunted by others. A life caught between worlds. Victoria, wait. Please. She stopped but didn't turn around. I need space, Damien. I need to figure out if I can live in a marriage where my husband makes decisions about my safety without including me, where trust only flows one direction. How much space? I don't know yet. But I'll be at my father's farm. If anyone else tries to kill me, at least I'll die somewhere honest. You're not going alone. You don't get to decide that anymore. She walked out into the cold afternoon, leaving Damien standing in a hospital hallway, watching the woman he'd finally learned to love walk away. By the time he reached his car, she was gone. And by the time he reached the mansion to pack a bag and follow her, the house was on fire. Black smoke poured from the eastern wing. The nursery wing. Flames licked through windows, consuming sage-green walls and white cribs, and the future they'd started to build. Fire trucks screamed up the driveway. Damien stood frozen, watching everything burn. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. She was supposed to be inside. You were supposed to lose everything. But don't worry, Damien. There are other ways to make you suffer. Other ways to collect what you owe. Ask Victoria about the real reason she married you. Ask her about the deal she made with Marcus. Ask her why she's really carrying your child. Then decide if she's worth saving at all. The message wasn't signed. It didn't need to be. Marcus Vaughn was done playing games. And somewhere, driving toward her father's farm through gathering darkness, Victoria had no idea that the man she'd trusted, the man she'd started to love, had just received a message designed to destroy the fragile trust they'd built. Or that when they next spoke, nothing would ever be the same again. Not the way you thought. He stepped aside, letting her enter the house that smelled of coffee and loneliness. How's your husband? The one I sold you to? Complicated. Like everything else. They sat at the kitchen table. The same table where she'd learned to read. Where her mother had died when Victoria was 12. Where her father had signed away his daughter's future to save a stranger's child. Did you know Marcus would come after me even after the wedding? She asked. I knew Marcus Vaughn doesn't let things go. But I thought Damien Cross was powerful enough to protect you. Thought a billionaire's wife would be untouchable. No one's untouchable. Someone just burned down Damien's house trying to kill me. Her father's face went pale. Dear God. And there's a life insurance policy on me, forged with your signature. Marcus is trying to frame you for planning my murder so Damien will divorce me and send me back. That son of a... Her father stood, rage and helplessness warring on his features. We need to call the police. We need to... Damien already did. His assistant was working with Marcus. She's been arrested. Then it's over. It's not over. Marcus sent Damien a message, told him to ask me about a deal I made, about the real reason I married him, about why I'm carrying his child. Her father sank back into his chair. What deal? I don't know. That's what scares me. What if Marcus is lying, trying to turn Damien against me? Or what if there's something I don't remember? Something I blocked out? There's no deal, Victoria. You married Damien because it was the only way to escape Marcus. That's the truth. But doubt had already planted its roots. Victoria pressed her hands against her stomach, feeling the flutter of movement that had started yesterday. The baby. Growing. Real. Depending on her to keep them both safe in a world that wanted them dead. I don't know what's true anymore. Dad, everyone's been lying to protect me, and now I can't tell protection from manipulation. Her father reached across the table, taking her hands. Then let me tell you one truth. No lies, no protection, just honesty. Okay, I failed you, Victoria. Not because of the debt or the marriage or any of that. I failed you when your mother died and I didn't know how to be both parents. Failed you when I let you grow up thinking you had to be perfect to be loved. Failed you when I signed that paper with Marcus instead of going to the police, because I was too proud to admit I needed help. Tears slipped down Victoria's cheeks. Dad, let me finish. I've had 12 weeks to think about this. 12 weeks of wondering if you'd ever speak to me again, if I'd ever meet my grandchild, if you'd forgive me for being human. His voice broke. You don't have to forgive me, but you should forgive Damien. He lied to me. He kept a secret to protect you. There's a difference. He's learning how to love someone after being nearly killed by the last woman he trusted. Cut him some slack for being terrified. I'm terrified too. I know, sweetheart, but you're also brave. Braver than me. Brave enough to walk away from a husband you're falling in love with because you want honesty more than comfort. That takes guts. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing. Victoria's phone buzzed. Damien's name lit the screen. She stared at it, heart hammering. Answer it, her father said quietly. Whatever he has to say, face it together, she answered. Hello? Victoria? His voice was strained, raw. Thank God. Are you safe? I'm at my father's farm. Are you okay? The fire's out. The nursery's gone, but the rest of the house is salvageable. That's not why I'm calling. Then why? I got a message from Marcus. About a deal you made. About why you married me. About the baby. Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Do you believe him? She asked finally. I don't know what to believe anymore. I need you to tell me the truth, Victoria. All of it. Did you make any kind of agreement with Marcus? Any promise or arrangement I don't know about? No. I swear on our baby's life I made no deals with Marcus Vaughn. The only arrangement I made was marrying you to escape him. He says you're working with him, that the baby is leverage, that you're planning to divorce me after it's born and take half my fortune. And you believe him? After everything, after 3 weeks of learning each other, you think I'm capable of that? I think I'm capable of being a fool twice. I think I'm capable of falling for another beautiful liar who wants my money. The words hit like bullets. Victoria's hand trembled around the phone. Then we have nothing left to say to each other. Wait, please. He took a shaking breath. I don't believe him. I called because I need to hear you say it. Because Marcus is good at making lies sound true. And I needed to hear your voice telling me he's wrong. You needed proof I'm not lying. I needed reassurance that I'm not crazy for trusting you. There's a difference, is there? Because from here, it feels like you still think I'm Cassandra wearing a different face. You're right. His admission was quiet, defeated. I'm sorry. I should trust you. I want to trust you. But 5 years of suspicion doesn't disappear in 3 weeks, no matter how much I want it to. Victoria closed her eyes. What do we do now? I don't know. But Marcus isn't going to stop, Victoria. He's escalating. First the contract, then the life insurance, now the fire. He's building a case to either take you from me legally or make you disappear permanently. So what's the solution? There isn't one. Not one where we both survive intact. which means one of us has to make a sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? The kind that saves the other person. The kind that ends this war before it destroys us both. Victoria's father had been listening, his face growing more concerned with each passing moment. He mouthed the words, "Be careful." "Damien, what are you planning? Marcus wants to destroy my life." "Fine, I'll give him what he wants." "I don't understand. I'm going to divorce you, publicly, claim the baby isn't mine, accuse you of infidelity and fraud, make it look like you played me for a fool and I'm cutting my losses." "You can't be serious. It's the only way to get Marcus to back off. If he thinks he's won, if you're publicly humiliated and poor again, he'll lose interest. Move on to his next victim. You'll be safe and destroyed. Branded a liar and a cheat, raising a child alone with no money and no reputation. You'll have money. I'll make sure of it. Quietly. Through offshore accounts he can't trace. You and the baby will never want for anything. Except a father. Except a husband. Except the life we were starting to build. Better to lose that than lose you completely." Victoria's hand moved to her stomach. "You're asking me to give up everything." "I'm asking you to let me protect you the only way I know how, by sacrificing what I want for what you need. And what if I don't agree? What if I want to fight? Then we both lose, Victoria. Marcus has money, connections, patience. He'll wait years if necessary. He'll hurt everyone you love. Your father, Mrs. Patterson, our child. He'll never stop unless he thinks he's won. So I'm supposed to just disappear? Raise our baby, believing their father thinks they're illegitimate? You're supposed to survive. That's all that matters." "No." Victoria stood, anger burning through grief. "That's not all that matters. What matters is truth. What matters is fighting for what's right instead of running from what's hard." "Victoria, you want to know why I really married you, Damien? Not to escape Marcus, not for your money, not for any logical reason that makes sense. Then why? Because on our wedding night, when you touched me, I saw something in your eyes. Recognition. Like you understood what it meant to be broken. Like maybe two broken people could build something whole together. And I held on to that tiny glimpse of humanity through 6 weeks of loneliness, hoping I wasn't crazy for believing it was real. It was real. Then act like it. Don't sacrifice us to save me. Fight with me. Trust me enough to face this together instead of making decisions for me. If I'm wrong, you die. If you're right, I die anyway. Just slower, lonelier, without the person I was starting to love." The line went silent. Victoria could hear his breathing, ragged and uneven. "You love me?" he asked finally. "I'm falling for you. Despite everything, despite logic, despite every reason I shouldn't. And if you divorce me to save me, I'll hate you for it. Because you'll prove that you never trusted me at all. That's not fair. None of this is fair. But that's the truth. The real truth. The one I've been too scared to say out loud until right now." Her father touched her shoulder. Support and sorrow in equal measure. "I'm coming to get you," Damien said. "Don't leave that farm. Don't go anywhere alone. I'm bringing security, lawyers, every resource I have, and we're going to face Marcus together. On our terms." "What changed your mind?" "You did. By being brave enough to tell me you love me when I was planning to push you away. By refusing to be saved if it means giving up on us. And if we lose? Then we lose together. But at least we'll go down fighting instead of running." Victoria's father squeezed her shoulder, pride shining through his tears. "How long until you get here?" she asked. 2 hours. Maybe less if I break every speed limit between here and there. I'll be waiting." "Victoria, one more thing. Yes, I love you too. I've been trying not to, trying to protect myself. But I love you, and I'm done pretending I don't. Whatever happens next, I need you to know that." The words hung in the air like a promise, like a prayer, like the first honest thing either of them had said since their wedding night. "I'll see you soon," she whispered. "Soon." The line went dead. Victoria set down her phone and looked at her father. "He's coming, I heard. You ready for this? For whatever happens next?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." "That's my girl." They sat together in the fading light, father and daughter, waiting for a billionaire to arrive and a war to begin. Neither of them saw the car parked on the road outside. Black Mercedes, tinted windows, Marcus Vaughn behind the wheel, phone pressed to his ear. "They're together," he said quietly. "Cross is on his way. You know what to do." He ended the call and smiled. Sometimes the biggest betrayal isn't the one you see coming. It's the one that's been there all along, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And that moment had finally arrived. Damien's car tore down the rural highway, headlights cutting through darkness like knives through silk. His security team followed in 2 black SUVs, armed and ready for whatever Marcus had planned. But they were already too late. At the farmhouse, Victoria heard the first crash just as the sun disappeared completely. Glass shattering, her father's shout, then footsteps, heavy and confident, moving through the house like they owned it. "Dad?" She moved toward the kitchen doorway. Marcus Vaughn stood in the living room, flanked by 2 men built like refrigerators. His smile was reptilian, cold-blooded, and patient. "Hello, Victoria. Miss me?" Her father appeared behind her, his face pale. "Get out of my house, Marcus. Your house? Funny. According to the foreclosure notice I purchased this morning, this is my house now. Has been for about 6 hours. You're trespassing. You can't do that. I just did. Bought your debt from 3 different creditors, consolidated it, called it due immediately. The farm, the land, everything. All mine," his eyes fixed on Victoria. "Including what's inside. The baby isn't yours. The baby is leverage. See, I did some digging into Damien Cross's family history. Turns out his grandfather's will has a very specific clause. If Damien dies without an heir, everything goes to charity. But if he dies with a pregnant wife, she inherits everything. And if that wife were to tragically die in childbirth shortly after?" He smiled. "Well, that's where things get interesting." Victoria's blood turned to ice. "You're insane. I'm practical. You were supposed to die in that fire. The baby, too. Damien would have been devastated, vulnerable, easy to manipulate into making bad decisions, bad investments. Within a year, I'd own pieces of his empire. But you survived. And now I need a new plan. He'll kill you for this. He'll try. But here's the thing about men like Damien Cross. They follow rules. They believe in law and order and justice. Me? I believe in winning. And I always win." Her father stepped forward. "You'll have to go through me first." "Dad, no." The gunshot was deafening in the small farmhouse. Her father crumpled, clutching his shoulder, blood spreading across his shirt like spilled wine. "Dad!" Victoria dropped beside him, pressing her hands against the wound. "Just a warning shot," Marcus said casually. "Next one goes somewhere more permanent. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to come with me, quietly. No fuss. We're going to drive to a private clinic I own. You're going to have that baby removed. Then you're going to sign some papers transferring your claim on Damien's estate to me. And if you do all that like a good girl, I might let you and Daddy live. I'll never sign anything for you. You will, because the alternative is watching me kill everyone you love, one by one, starting with the old man bleeding on your floor." Victoria's mind raced. Damien was still an hour away. Her father was losing blood. There was no way out that didn't end with someone dying, except maybe one. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll come with you. Just let me stop his bleeding first, please." Marcus considered, then nodded. 5 minutes, then we leave." Victoria tore fabric from her shirt, pressing it against her father's wound. He grabbed her wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. "Don't do this," he whispered. "Don't sacrifice yourself for me. You sacrificed yourself for a stranger's daughter. I think I can sacrifice myself for my own father." She kissed his forehead. "Tell Damien I'm sorry. Tell him I loved him. Tell him the baby would have been beautiful." "Victoria, 5 minutes is up," Marcus announced. "Let's go." She stood slowly, hands shaking. One of Marcus's men grabbed her arm, steering her toward the door. Outside, the black Mercedes waited like a hearse. That's when the headlights appeared. 3 vehicles, moving fast, kicking up dust and gravel. Damien's car skidded to a stop, and he emerged like fury given form, his steel-gray eyes locked on Marcus. "Let her go." Marcus pulled a gun, pressing it against Victoria's temple. "Or what? You'll call the police? By the time they arrive, she's dead. The baby's dead. You lose everything. You shoot her, you get nothing. No leverage, no money. Just a murder charge and the rest of your life in prison. Worth it to watch you suffer." "Then you're stupider than I thought." Damien's voice was ice and iron. Because you made one critical mistake. Marcus, you assumed I'd follow rules, that I'd play fair, that I wouldn't burn down the entire world to protect what's mine. Tough talk from a man holding nothing. I'm holding everything that matters. Damien stepped forward. You want my money? Take it, every dollar, every asset, every property. It's yours. Damien, no. Victoria tried to twist away, but Marcus's grip tightened. In exchange, Damien continued, you let her go. Right now, walk away from Victoria, from the baby, from all of this. Take the money and disappear, Marcus laughed. You'd give up your entire fortune for one woman? I'd give up my life for her. The money is just money. Liar. Men like you don't sacrifice for anyone. Men like me don't love anyone. But I love her. And that changes everything. Victoria felt tears streaming down her face. Damien, you can't do this. That's everything you've built. Everything you are. Wrong, he said, his eyes never leaving hers. You're everything I am, everything I want to be. Money I can rebuild. You I can't replace. Marcus's gun wavered slightly. You're serious. Completely. My lawyers are standing by. One phone call, I sign over everything. You walk away a billionaire. We walk away alive. Everyone wins. Except you lose everything. I lose nothing that matters. For a long moment, Marcus stood frozen, greed and rage warring on his face. Then slowly, carefully, he lowered the gun from Victoria's head. Make the call. Damien pulled out his phone. James, execute Protocol 7. Everything, now. He paused, listening. Yes, I'm sure. Do it. Victoria was released. She stumbled forward and Damien caught her, his arms solid and real and safe. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you. You just gave away everything. No, I gave away money. I kept everything. Marcus's phone buzzed. He checked it, smiled, then holstered his gun. Pleasure doing business with you, Cross. Enjoy poverty. I'll send a postcard from my yacht. He climbed into the Mercedes, his men following. The car pulled away, red taillights disappearing into darkness. Victoria pulled back to look at Damien. You actually did it. You gave him everything. Not everything. His smile was tired but genuine. I kept a few things. Like what? Like the tracking device in every account I just transferred. The FBI agent's currently en route to arrest him for attempted murder, fraud, and about 17 other felonies. The recordings I've been making of this entire conversation. He pulled out his phone, showing her the red recording light. And the fact that Protocol 7 wasn't a money transfer. It was a legal trap. Every dollar he accepts is evidence. Every account he touches proves conspiracy. Victoria's mouth fell open. You played him. I learned from the best. A woman who was brave enough to marry a stranger to escape a monster. Smart enough to know when to fight and when to fall back. Strong enough to love someone who didn't deserve it. He cupped her face gently. You taught me that sometimes the best way to win is to make your enemy think you've lost. The money? Still mine. Well, ours. Frozen pending investigation, but safe. The house can be rebuilt. Your father's farm I purchased 6 hours ago under a shell company, so Marcus's foreclosure notice was worthless. Everything's going to be okay. My father. Paramedics are coming. Shoulder wound. Painful, but not life-threatening. He'll recover. Victoria sagged against him. Relief and exhaustion and too many emotions to name flooding through her. I thought I'd lost you. Lost everything. You'll never lose me. Not to fear. Not to Marcus. Not to anything. He kissed her forehead, then her lips, gentle and sure. I meant what I said. I love you, Victoria Cross. I probably started loving you on our wedding night, when you looked at me like I was human instead of a bank account. I just didn't know how to admit it. I love you too, even when you're making insane plans without telling me. In my defense, I only had 20 minutes to set this up. Next time I'll include you in the planning phase. Next time? Well, with Marcus around, there's bound to be a next time. At least until the FBI throws him in a cell and loses the key. Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights painted the darkness in colors of law and order and justice finally arriving. Victoria pressed her hand to her stomach, feeling the flutter of life inside. What do we tell the baby? When they're old enough to understand. About how complicated everything was? We tell them the truth, that their mother was the bravest person I ever met. that their father was broken but learning how to heal, that they were born from an arrangement but raised in love, that sometimes the best families aren't the ones you're born into, but the ones you choose. That's a good story. It's our story, and it's not finished yet. Her father appeared on the porch, supported by one of Damien's security team, his shoulder bandaged but his smile intact. You two going to stand there all night? Or are you going to come inside and tell me how you just conned a con man? They walked toward the farmhouse together, leaving the darkness behind. Police cars arrived, FBI agents emerged, and somewhere in the night, Marcus Vaughn was realizing his mistake. 3 months later, the nursery was rebuilt. Sage green walls, white crib, and a mobile that played lullabies in the morning light. Victoria sat in the rocking chair, her hand on her swollen belly, feeling the baby kick. Damien entered with coffee and toast. The same breakfast he'd brought her every morning since they'd stopped pretending this was just a business arrangement. "Morning," he said, kissing her. "How's our tiny dancer? Active? I think they inherited your stubbornness. Or your courage." "That's scarier," she laughed, taking the coffee. Mrs. Patterson called. "She's out of the hospital and wants to come back to work next week. Tell her to take another month. She's earned it. She'll argue. Let her. I've gotten good at losing arguments to strong women." Victoria smiled, pulling him down beside her. Outside, the city sparkled with morning light. Inside, 2 broken people had built something whole together. A marriage that started with contracts and ended with choice. A love that was earned, not arranged. The baby kicked hard, and Damien's hand joined Victoria's on her stomach, feeling their future move beneath their palms. "Are you scared?" she asked, terrified, but the good kind of terrified, the kind that means something matters. "We'll figure it out. Together?" Together. And in that moment, in a rebuilt nursery in a mansion that had seen fire and betrayal and redemption, 2 people who'd married as strangers became what they'd always needed to be. Family. Not perfect, not simple, but honest and real and worth every sacrifice along the way. The baby kicked again, stronger this time, ready to be born into a complicated world with imperfect parents who loved each other enough to fight for their future. And that was enough. That would always be enough. The end.